Welcome to another episode of Minorities Report, A Year in Marvel. I'm Antonio Alcazar.
And I'm Ticknor.
So we're happy to announce we finally have a Patreon. We've got a Patreon.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm happy for it. You know, hopefully it'll take some little bit of workload off of your end of things. It doesn't really affect me that much, but it affects you a lot.
You can find us at patreon.com/minoritiesreport. And there's a couple of sign-up little bonuses for people who wanted to help support us.
Right.
There are a couple of episodes from before we started Minorities Report. Not last year, the year before that. Yeah, because last year we started this. But the year before that, we were talking about doing a podcast, and we recorded an episode for the movie The Lighthouse, and we recorded one for the movie The Joker.
Yeah.
And both of those episodes are going up with the release of the Patreon, along with the episode for RoboCop that I didn't put up.
The lost episode.
No. So, exactly. The reason I don't say the lost episode is because we recorded RoboCop. It was a really good episode. It was really fun. And then I lost that episode because I accidentally didn't port it over. There was an SD card issue on my fault. And then we re-recorded RoboCop, and then I only didn't like that episode, so I didn't post it. That's the episode that we're putting up on the Patreon for people who were just like, well, I'm going to listen to it anyway. Okay, well, it's going to be available.
Yeah.
It'll just be on the Patreon.
Yeah. So
from time to time, we'll also do some other exclusives and things like that. Oh, we're going to start doing new movie reviews too.
Modern stuff. Yeah.
So as movies start coming out, we're going to be reviewing those and putting those exclusively on the Patreon. But so far, everything that you've gotten won't ever be behind a paywall. So the Year in Marvel episodes will still be available everywhere, and the regular Minorities Report show will be available everywhere. None of that's going behind the paywall. The only thing that's going to be exclusive to the Patreon are these little lost episodes, and then the modern movie reviews for when new movies come out.
And I think, you know, how much stuff we cover is going to kind of be up to you guys. You know, if you guys just like listening to the free stuff, the free shows that we put out, we'll probably, you know, mostly keep it to the free shows. But if you guys want us to cover things like, you know, the new Lord of the Rings show, the new Game of Thrones stuff, you know, that kind of stuff, well, you know, that's going to take a lot of our time.
The time is really the thing there. And we really want to cover a lot of that stuff because we enjoy doing this. But what we've found over the course of the last almost year now is that a lot of this takes time. That's the most valuable resource.
Yeah. And it's not even the talking about it so much as all the back end work of it. Because I mean, we could podcast for a full day for like 7 hours talking about all the different shit that we enjoy, obviously. But then, you know, somebody's got to fucking edit it. Somebody's got to put it all up, all that shit. You know,
there's a lot that goes behind this.
Right.
And so far, it is a very, very small team.
Yeah.
Right now, it is 3 of us.
Yeah.
And I'm carrying the majority of the workload.
Yep.
And so we want to do it more. We're putting up a Patreon in case any of you guys want to help. That money will go to hiring an editor and hiring people to take care of more of the back end work for us.
Yeah.
So that we can just, you
don't have to worry about it. We front ended all the equipment shit. Like I know a lot of podcasts are like, well, we need some money because we're gonna fucking buy new mics and new this and that. No. We don't need any of that.
The reason our podcast has sounded so good, from the beginning,
because Antonio is a fucking maniac, bro.
Because I decided to go all in on podcasting equipment before we even had anything. But that was a little bit of insanity on my end. But I think it paid off.
But I think I mean, we get a lot of compliments about the quality of the audio and whatnot, even for as small as we are, which is pretty fucking awesome, you know, and much props to Antonio for being a bit of a maniac to make this as good as it is. Because, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm just a pretty face on here. He does more of the work than I do. I mean, the research usually is my end of stuff, but the heavy lifting is mostly done by Antonio.
Anyway, so if you want to help us out, that's patreon.com/minorities report, and we'll have a link on today on the post for this episode.
And so today we are doing something that this is the first time we've been able to do this.
Yeah.
New movie release by Marvel. So it's been a while, man.
Yeah. And also just, I guess, to that specific thing, in case there's anybody with questions, We will, if it's a Marvel movie, still be releasing it on a year in Marvel.
Yeah.
So that won't be behind a paywall either. Like today's episode for Black Widow, and then the ones for Shang-Chi, for Spider-Man, and for the Eternals, those will all be.
In theory, you could probably look forward to, you could probably look forward to maybe like one special film per month or something of that nature that will be on the Patreon.
At least, yeah, for sure.
But it'll be, different things that aren't Marvel related. It could be a DC film. It could be like, it probably won't be a Fast and the Furious film, but like a James Bond film or whatever's
coming out
in
this
the theater.
year, yeah, for sure.
That's interesting and like
when Dune 2021 comes out, we'll go watch that shit.
Or like a Christopher Nolan film or some shit.
Yeah,
things that are in our wheelhouse we'll probably cover and it'll be on there.
Yeah. So we watched over the weekend Black Widow.
Yeah. Did you get any cool previews before the film?
I mean, not really. What did you see?
We got, because I'm not a preview guy, so a lot of these things are brand new to me.
This is when they force it on you, huh?
Right? And I like to show up late, so I get to miss most of them. But I did see a preview for Venom 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see the preview for Venom. They didn't have that one.
Oh, so have you seen a preview for it?
Yes, I have seen a preview for it. Yeah,
it looks like a Sony film.
Yeah,
it doesn't look bad.
Oh, you love those Sony films?
I do like this. I liked Venom 1.
Yeah, Venom 1 was such a fucking hot mess.
Man. It was definitely a good movie.
Fucking terrible.
I'd probably put it mid tier with most Marvel films. Probably not as high as like the Conjuring universe, but like somewhere up in that neighborhood. Where it was a decent movie. And we'll see where Sony goes from that. That was like their first venture in like, we're going to fucking, kind of do Marvelization with some of these things.
Over the weekend, Kevin Feige implied that Venom might be making an appearance in the...
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it with a shadow of a doubt. I would put money on, what is his name? Tobey Maguire? No, not Tobey Maguire. What the fuck is Spider-Man's name? The actual character who plays Spider-Man.
Tom Holland?
I would put money on Tom Holland making a guest appearance in Venom.
Oh, yeah?
At some point in time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I could easily see that, and I could see them start to becoming more
of like a Spider-Verse
willing to work with each other, because it's like both of them make money.
Yeah, tons of money. But what I want to see is, because Spider-Man has such an enormous section of the Marvel universe just for himself, I'd love to see all of that be handled together. So like, Morbius was coming out, and Morbius had some references to
Homecoming.
To Homecoming.
Yeah, specifically Michael Keaton's in the movie.
Keaton's in the movie is the Vulture. So it is in the same universe.
Yes.
And I really got excited about that idea. The idea that Tom Holland maybe doesn't have to be the main character in a lot of stuff, but that Spider-Man's around. I love that idea.
I agree.
Yeah. But otherwise, I didn't get to see any good previews, man.
Yeah, I don't even remember the rest of them.
A lot of little kid previews.
Yeah, we had that one. Dude, I thought that Good Guy movie came out like 5 years ago. So we had another preview for that.
A friend of mine that I was with when I saw this movie said the same thing. Like, that movie's been coming out for like 4 years.
Right, and I get it, pandemic and all that shit. But that doesn't look like a movie that needed to be delayed because of the pandemic. You could probably just put it out last year and it'll make just as much money as it's going to make this year.
Which is zero.
Right, exactly. There's going to be like 25 people that go to see that movie specifically. So
I'll tell you what, though, it was a little exciting to be sitting down at a theater and then
had you gone to the theater since pandemic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you've seen a couple movies?
I think I've gone 3 times. This was like my 4th time going back since the pandemic.
Yeah, I think I've
gone.
As
soon as I got my vaccine, dude, I was like, dude, I missed the theater. I'm going back. Godzilla vs. Kong was the first one that I saw coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that was because actually a friend of mine had rented out a theater for that one.
Yeah. I think I've only seen one movie.
Oh, yeah?
And I saw, it was called like The Hollow Man, which was a horror movie that came out last year. Me and Sarah went to go see it. But I'm trying to remember, the last movie I saw before Hollow Man was, did we go see Empire Strikes Back? Because I think they showed Empire Strikes Back one weekend or something like that. I went to see that with my son. But yeah, it's been slim pickings for me to go to the theater and whatnot. So, it was, I agree. It was definitely nice to sit down and see Marvel kind of kick into
another entry into the real big,
I was thinking about that today, not today, last week, I'm sorry, before I went to go see Black Widow. Like, I don't know, clearly like you are much more the Marvel fanboy on this podcast than I am.
Sometimes. But I feel like I shit on Marvel more and you praise Marvel more.
Yeah, it's weird like that. We go back and forth with it definitely. But I gotta say, I've really started to come to appreciate Marvel. I guess that's the right comment to make. Not like love Marvel, but appreciate the fact that there's going to be relentless additions to this universe that are at least par. I don't want to say subpar or above par, but par. And the TV shows have kind of proven that to me. So, and now we're getting movies and TV shows and cartoons.
So I feel like sometimes I consider just the brief amount of time that you've lived a little bit more than I have. 10 years I feel like counts for some amount.
Right, but unfortunately it's not been 10 years.
Okay, 9 years, whatever the
8
fuck.
years, but
Shut up, dude. You're fucking ancient. But what I'm saying
58.
is, it's funny because you grew up in more of a landscape where unless you were this massively successful movie, you were forgotten about entirely. And I grew up in a landscape that was a little different because there were just more fine movies that you can go and enjoy. Whereas, like, before, if you weren't some big movie that did a thing that had you recognized on some list, you kind of were just forgotten about. I'm very okay with the landscape of an all-right movie because, for me, it's like all-right comics or all-right TV. You go and you watch something you enjoy, and then you get to enjoy that a couple more times if you want to, and that's it. Whereas, like, I don't know, for you, I feel like you're getting into that now, right? Just based on what you said. It's cool that we're just going to have fine movies for the rest of time. But before, it was just like, that was a great movie or whatever. Like, don't even...
Well, I think part of the reason for that problem still today is, and I think it's even worse today than it was before, because, like, there's more stuff to consume now. So now it needs to be something I'm actually interested in or I'm going to do for the podcast or it can get fucked.
But there's some expectation that it's going to be all right. You know, production values being what they are these days, you have to be just a shitty writer in order to fuck something up. Now, are you going to have some Scorsese level fucking great shit? No, but you can make competent stuff.
I don't think that's because I think that's because Hollywood is more interested in the safe bet than the daring bet.
And I feel like maybe they're just getting very good at the safe bet. I feel like they're getting better and better at this.
I think that's, you know what? I think that's in all walks of life. This is gonna be kind of a weird comparison, but I was just thinking about this with the NFL, and I know you're not.
I really wanted you to compare this to the Horus Heresy again.
I know you're not a fan of the NFL at all, but like back in the day,
I wouldn't say I'm not a fan at all.
In the 80s and in the 90s, dude, you had just straight up NFL busts. Yeah. Like quarterbacks that were drafted high, running backs that drafted high that came out and were terrible and they couldn't play in the NFL. Like they were just dog shit. That is a rarity now. Like more often a quarterback taken in the first round at least has a career that's like 5-6 years, is somewhat productive. Now you still have a one-off bust, but like the number of like high-end players, like I don't think he was taken in the first round though. He was taken later, but like
really, he wasn't. What, didn't he win like the Heisman Trophy?
Yeah, but everybody knew that wasn't going to translate over. Oh, so like it's rare to have like a Ryan Leaf for like a that's a deep cut that would where he was drafted before Peyton Manning, and obviously you know who Peyton Manning is, but you have no idea who Ryan Leaf is.
Never even heard the name.
Or like a Tony Mandrich for the Packers and stuff like that. Like like scouting has gotten better. Like information has gotten better, I think, and because of that, I think
technique is more ubiquitous. It's more like it's more understood. It's more taught. It's more accessible.
Yeah,
and the more that becomes the case, the more access people have to being at least that good.
Yeah,
and then the greats are still pushing that clearly, but are at least that good has gotten so like concrete and formulaic and well understood that it's just you're gonna get a good product every time.
Yeah,
like that's a good thing, I think, because that means that I enjoy my time more often than I don't enjoy my time.
You know what it might be? We just don't watch the garbage dog shit that comes out.
Why, when there's so much fine stuff?
I mean, right. I think there's still garbage dog shit that comes out, but like we just don't watch it. We don't pay attention to it because there's plenty of other shit to watch.
Well, I mean, this is going to make you angry a little bit, but like I don't watch a lot of like that schlocky horror movie stuff because I just assume that most of that's going to be bad.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
And a lot of the action movie shit, like that fucking like Good Man or whatever. Like I'm not going to go watch that. We were just talking about.
Oh, I didn't see that movie.
Why would you go see?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about that other movie that was something like that called like Good Day or something like that. That fucking movie that's like a sidekick movie to like the John Wick series. Didn't you see the
same universe?
Yeah, like it's like a dude who was like.
No, Nobody.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, I didn't see that
with Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah,
I didn't see because I was just like, I've already seen John Wick.
Yeah,
and so like, why would I go see this?
Right, exactly. I was just like, nah, I'm not seeing this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even see the third John Wick film, so I'm just like,
I saw the third John Wick film, and I thought to myself, I could have actually just stopped at the first.
Yeah,
the first was a cool one to watch,
of course, because it was out of nowhere.
And then the second and third were just the first.
That to me is why, like, I'm kind of happy there's only one Dredd movie. For as much as I loved the Dredd movie, I just feel like a second Dredd and a third Dredd would have been this Dredd movie, but just not as like groundbreakingly cool as the first Dredd movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's very rarely do you have like the Raid and Rage Redemption, or 2 or whatever. Like that is like a rarity. You more often than not, you just continue the formula, make the formula a little bit louder, and then that's your next movie. And it's not. It's like we're talking about.
But look at what happened with. I think there are 2 examples of how to do it right, or there's an example of how to do it right, and an example of how to do it wrong. Right, I would say Marvel has done it right.
Oh, okay.
Because they kind of are this as bombastic. I mean, save for their expansion into like space. They're just as bombastic as the one that came before, the one that'll come after it. They're not like pushing the envelope so much as they're just like giving you different characters.
Yeah.
Whereas Fast and the Furious started pretty tepid, and every one, like at some point the world is going to crack in half in those movies.
Dude, someone who was telling me about 9, I think that just came out, right? 9, and he was telling me about a scene where a guy like flies a helicopter or something like that, and Dom has to like catch him.
Yeah.
So he takes his car, and there's like this huge like not trench, but what is that called? Like
a canyon?
Yeah, a canyon. Yeah. And he like drives off of a ramp with his canyon, and then like hits this like rope that and spins his wheel so that it gets tied up in his rope and swings across the canyon and then lands on the other side of it.
Swing off of the car?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I was like, wow. Well, like I say, here's the thing.
They just throw everything out the window with those.
Fast and the Furious is Marvel.
Yeah.
It's just that their superpower is driving cars.
No, but the reason that I say that it's a good comparison in the opposition is because with Fast and the Furious, they feel like they have to make everything more and more extreme every time.
Oh, so does Marvel.
I feel like they're not. I feel
really
like
Captain America 1, 2, 3.
Captain America 1, 2, 3?
Yes.
Those were, I mean, Captain America 2
it got bigger and louder every single episode.
Captain
movie.
America 2 was just, I mean, Captain America 3, sure, because it was Civil War.
But
Captain America 1 and 2, they were very similar power levels.
I disagree completely. The first one is just about taking down this small, like, sector, one enemy specifically, the Red Skull. The second one is, like, crashing all of S.H.I.E.L.D., dude. And, the third one is, like, obviously superhero Civil War. I think every
superhero
Marvel
Civil
movie,
War, they went a little further with that one, obviously.
Every Marvel movie has stepped it up at least a little bit from film to film because you kind of have to. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. You accept it more because you're a Marvel cinephile.
No.
But like,
you don't think there's such thing as a Marvel cinephile.
Infinity War is a step down from Endgame?
Sure, but it's not. Okay. I don't think that they're increasing how like bombastic it is. I think that they're just showing different parts, different things.
I can't agree with that. I think Endgame is much more bombastic than Infinity War is.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what the story calls for. But like, any of that stuff could have happened in the first movie in Infinity War. Look at how big the fight in New York was at the end of Avengers. Like that was absolutely massive compared to fucking Ant-Man. Like they're not. It's just
but that's because
showing
it's a team game.
It's because they're showing different parts. It's not that the powers are any more crazy. It's just that they're showing different characters. Some characters though do have crazier powers, sure, and then they do right by them.
I think you are completely misrepresenting Marvel right now because what they do is they have individual films, they have team up films that's like those films combining into like they have a unique formula, and then after the team film they'll reset back to expectations. Step one again,
but at the very least, right?
Yeah,
because my argument is
like Thor.
At the very least, what I'm saying is that is in opposition to what the Fast and the Furious movies have done, which is just to increase.
Because they don't. No, that's not true. Because they've now started to branch off too. Because like Hobbs and Shaw was much smaller than fucking the Fast and the Furious mainline films and stuff. Yeah,
I thought that was like the end of the world type.
Nah, it was that fucking super criminal guy.
Yeah,
I don't.
With Idris Elba, and he was like a superhuman.
Yeah, he was just a powered up dude and shit. I mean, like that's
like
not,
he had like taking a super soldier serum.
Nah, that's
movies
not,
were about racing cars.
That was like the first movie. That was literally when I was 21 came out, man. Yeah. So like 19 years ago, dude. At this point, so but if you look at like for instance a great example, Thor, man,
they're gonna be flying around in the next movie.
Thor 1 goes from becoming the leader of Asgard to like defeating this like huge threat that's like threatening to destroy their city and whatnot to literally the destruction of Asgard.
Yeah.
You're fucking crazy.
I don't feel like the stakes. So anyways,
we're gonna hit into Black Widow. So this movie kind of a little jarring, obviously. Like, okay, so I got to talk right off the bat here. You know what Marvel does terribly?
Oh, no.
And they need to stop doing?
I might disagree with you.
I don't care if you disagree with me. You're wrong. Their de-aging technology is atrocious, bro.
What?
Like, it has worked for one person, Sam Jackson.
Okay.
It okayly worked for Robert Downey Jr., but it wasn't the same thing because they used stuff from his old films when he was young, because Robert Downey Jr. has been a movie star since he was like 17 years old or whatever the fuck, you know? And so they were able to use...
Where in this movie did they do it bad?
David Harbour. He looked atrocious,
He looked really good. I thought he looked phenomenal.
I couldn't believe how fake it looked.
No.
It looked like, I was like,
not at all.
Any person who looked at this person would be like, yo, is that guy a spy or some shit? What is with his fucking hair and everything? Like, he looked way out of place.
I didn't even notice.
You know, it's funny. You're the first person I talked to who's like not complained about it. Like everyone else I talked to were like, that's the worst part of the movie was David Harbour.
I thought that they didn't even de-age him. I just figured that they had like cut him up and done makeup.
Oh man,
I didn't even notice a de-aging on either of them, on him or on what's her name?
I guess you just weren't paying enough attention, dude.
Like, I was paying attention.
He is like he has no wrinkles and he looks way younger.
Yeah, I honestly just figured that was makeup in a wig.
Oh man,
it
works best for Sam Jackson, and the reason it works best for Sam Jackson is because black people age a lot differently than white people. Unfortunately, it's just a fact of life, and so like he looked reasonable for like the differences, but like David Harbour, man, he looked fucking bad.
No, man, I thought he looked good.
I was like, if I wasn't covering the podcast, I would have walked out of the movie. Like that, I was.
Dude,
just
you're
like,
so fucking annoying, dude. You're the worst person to talk to. You're the biggest troll on the planet. That he looked fine.
Yeah.
I thought, in fact, I think he looked good because I didn't even notice.
Looked bad. So that was definitely started off on a bad foot.
Yeah, started off on a great foot, by the way.
Yeah, bad foot.
So because that whole like flashback sequence with the two little girls and like the that they were living, you know, like in a fake, you know, family, you know, undercover. I thought that was awesome. I really loved that scene. Okay. Yeah, it was a cool setup for, you know, because she had always, I guess, you know, like the stories about Black Widow were that she had always come from like this kind of like spy life when she was a little kid. So I loved watching that. Yeah. Like that was done really good. It made me feel a lot hard for those little kids.
It was definitely poor from like development standpoint. Like I think it would have been better if we would have seen Black Widow first and then her like remembering these time periods and whatnot. Because even my old lady, who's a casual fan, she watches the movies. Like she just watches the movies. Yeah. She was like, "What the fuck is this?" And when David Harbour flips the fucking like thing out of the way, she was like, "What the fuck is that bullshit?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's like the Russian Captain America. We'll get to it." Like I had to like explain it to her. So like for a casual fan, I'm sure a lot of people were thrown off. Like, what is this bullshit, man?
That's
like,
interesting.
And so. That it was cool to have a person who was like out of touch with Marvel next to me to watch this movie to be like that doesn't make any sense.
So like I was watching this also with my girlfriend, and she also likes all the movies. Yeah, obviously she's not like read comics or anything like that, but she has watched all the movies with me and she likes the movies and she was on board. You know, like there was no like confusion. Sure, it was just because Marvel is always introducing new characters. To be completely honest, I didn't know much about this character, the Red Guardian. Yeah. I didn't know much about that character. I knew from the trailers that he was going to be in this, but I vaguely assumed he was something like a Captain America. But I didn't know that he was a super powered person or super soldier or anything like that. So when he flipped the thing, I was just like, oh, cool. Okay, so he's just got like superpowers. In fact, this is where I was just like, oh, is he like a mutant or something? Man, I really hope that he's like a fucking mutant or something. Yeah. But, you know, he's just another super soldier. That's fine. You know, after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm just like, okay, so super soldiers just kind of exist. Yeah. You know, they're not all as famous as Captain America, but they are here and there. You know, like you'll see them from time to time.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, man. That was another thing that this movie did, because Black Widow was like this special, agent thing that like kicked everybody's ass if you were on a human level. And then it turns out, oh yeah, there's a lot of operatives like this. This is just like a thing that exists in this universe.
Yeah.
I really do like how full and filled this universe feels. Because it's just like anything could happen really at any moment now.
It does create a problem, obviously. Yeah. Like, this world regularly creates problems for itself.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
explain those problems.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're probably not going to be problems. You're just blowing things out of proportion.
They're definitely problems that you're willing to be like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Sure, okay.
Like, the fact that there's no help from other characters is like extremely annoying.
From what other characters?
Like, I almost expected at some point like Chris Evans to show up. Like the fact that like these people have
I a little bit expected Iron Man to show up at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like knew it wasn't going to happen because you would have heard about that.
Yeah.
But like when the thing was falling out of the sky, I was just like, is Iron Man going to show up for that?
Right, yeah. And this like impossible like taskmaster. Like, okay, all of these movies have these problems for me. Yeah. And if they don't for you, that's fine. I don't really care. But like ever since Iron Man 3, there's always been a problem of like Iron Man 3 is fighting against this like fucking Mandarin character who can like shoot fireballs and shit like that, and like he's like
the president of the United States has been kidnapped.
Yes, and he's like struggling to fight against this dude. Like literally, the Hulk could just show up and flip this fucking guy
in Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
no, they didn't have Iron Man, the Hulk for Iron Man.
Of course they did.
Did they?
Yes, Iron Man 3 came out after the Avengers because that's why like he has all the PTSD that he does.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he booked the fuck out. Like he was never really like a until I think not even after Civil War, because he wasn't even around for the Sokovia Accord.
Civil War comes after Avengers 2 though, where Hulk is a part of the team and just doing things.
Oh yeah, you're right. He's a part of the team for that one too.
Yeah, so
and
like
for some reason Thor was around. You know?
Like, and they kind of go, well, we've got Hawkeye and Ant-Man in custody. So like they like create a reason why these people won't come to like show up, which is like, okay, I guess. Like I don't know, like in general.
Yeah, because at this point Steve Rogers is like
on the run.
Fugitive.
Yes.
Yeah, because they were all kind of arrested and shit like that. So I didn't expect it, but like clearly Robert Downey Jr. is around and available. Yeah. And if the fucking thing is falling out of the sky, you'd think he'd show up
like
and
Vision,
be like, hey, what's going on?
You know,
or like Vision.
Right, like all these especially because like, okay, so if this was small stakes, like it would be like, okay, yeah. But the stakes are literally this dude's gonna take over the world with his widows.
Yeah. Well, I guess so, like, yeah, because Natasha reaching out to
General Ross.
Yeah, Ross, instead of reaching out to Iron Man.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay,
well, she doesn't actually reach out to him. She just turns on her, like, tracker thing so that, like, he can track him.
Yeah, I guess. So, maybe she just didn't,
Right.
And then he was just like, well,
and she kind of like fucked over Tony, at the end.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's
like,
true. Yeah,
I guess, like, so.
Oh yeah, because this is like right after she allowed him to get away in the Quinjet.
Because they want to arrest her because she assaulted T'Challa.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's. Like I say, it's not this like huge plot hole that I'm like, oh my god, I can't get over this. But it's always one of these things in these movies, like
they're finessing around.
Powerful
they're like
friends.
They're dancing around the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why like Thor Ragnarok is probably like a lot of people's favorite movie because it's finally like you have these two characters that are like working together, and it makes sense that Thor and Hulk are kind of working together.
Although it really didn't make sense that Thor or that Hulk was out in space.
Why?
Because like how the fuck? How the fuck did he get out in space?
Quinjet.
Quinjet is not an interstellar vehicle.
It wasn't in the movie.
No, the Quinjet was just a fucking. So like, it's like a really high-powered spaceship, but they don't go into space.
Yeah, like I think because that's the same ship they take to fucking Thanos' world.
What?
Yeah, they take that same like Quinjet thing to Thanos' world in Endgame. They take the same plane. Yeah.
Who takes the plane to Thanos?
The Avengers to go kill Thanos.
No, they are on the giant spinning wheel thing.
What?
Yeah.
No, you're talking about Ebony Maw.
Yeah.
That's an Infinity War.
You're right. Yeah. No, that one.
I don't give a fuck. It's a jet.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't fucking matter.
For little things like this.
Yeah.
You gotta just gloss over that shit. Just he ended up in space.
Yeah. Clearly.
How did he end up in space? Who gives a fuck? He's in space.
But they're gonna explain why she has blonde hair in fucking Infinity War. Like they're so clownish,
right? Like why was she wearing the vest at the beginning?
Right. Who gives a shit? You know what that reminded me of that scene? The fucking hand dice. The hand dice.
Where it's just like, here's the dice.
I don't give a shit.
I didn't never even notice those dice.
Right.
Were those dice even there?
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, here's this vest that I know you love this vest.
Yeah.
Really? There's no point did she say she liked that vest.
Yeah, she also could have just bought it at a store.
Yeah.
I don't need to know where she got her fucking shoes at. You know, like you don't tell me that.
Very odd. So, basically, the story, as the story goes, we're set up with that Black Widow had this fake family. She grows up later. She's on the run. We kind of know where she's at because this takes place after Captain America 3, before Infinity War. And because she doesn't have any contacts, she finds out that this dude who ran the Black Widow, I should call it the Widow program, because like her sister's a White Widow, I think, or some shit like that. So I'm pretty sure. And so
the Red Room.
Yeah, the Red Room guy. So Ray Stevenson is in charge of that shit. And she thought she assassinated. She didn't actually assassinate him. And she has to go into.
We found out what happened in Budapest.
Yeah.
Because they had always, like, her and Hawkeye were always just like, this is just like Budapest. And it's like that joke that they just kept making reference to. So, like, finally knowing what that was, I was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah. You know what that is? Rogue One.
Yeah.
So.
But, okay, except for, instead of like Rogue One, it's more like A New Hope.
Okay.
Where in New Hope, they're just like, this happened. Because here, they just said, this happened. I didn't get an entire movie about what happened.
No, I was going to say the difference, too, is Rogue One is amazing. So, but otherwise, other than that...
Rogue One is amazing?
As opposed to Black Widow.
Just because of that really cringy Darth Vader scene at the end of the movie? Because otherwise, that movie is not amazing.
Yo,
there was
any person who's in here...
A minute and a half...
Any person who listens to us, if you want to assault Antonio Alcazar, I will pay you $100 for him referring to that Darth Vader scene that is arguably one of the best scenes in Star Wars history.
Also the most disjointed supposedly and fan service scene ever.
Supposedly
put on the cinema.
Cringe. Like if you in the crowd think that Darth Vader scene is cringe, do not sign up for our Patreon. Do not continue to follow us.
You remember how
Give
Darth
us a
Vader
1-star review.
almost took down an entire ship with his force powers, and then in like 20 minutes
later,
took down
an entire ship with his force powers.
Okay, at the end of that scene, like he's just like carving through everybody, lifting people up, doing all that shit.
Yeah, he's being a force user.
and then at the beginning of A New Hope, he can barely walk.
Yeah, so what?
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
Barely walk? What do you mean?
I mean, that's not the same Darth Vader.
It is the same.
There's
Darth
one
Vader.
like superpowered goddamn Super Saiyan Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One, and then like 20 minutes later, continuity.
Those are both the same Darth Vader.
Okay.
It's just filmed differently.
Okay,
so,
sure, yeah.
But I mean, just like Luke Skywalker carving through all the dark troopers in Mandalorian, man. It's just fucking great, man.
Yeah, those are
the scenes.
Yeah.
Cringe. I mean, like, kind of like the Endgame battle is fan service. That fucking Captain America gets Mjorn is fucking fan service. Any of this shit is fucking fan service. That's no point of these fucking movies, you clown.
Wrong.
Yeah, you're right. There's no way Captain America could have done that fight without Mjorn flying to him.
He picked him up.
He literally could have. You know what's great is like the scene where Thor's almost killed. He could have thrown his shield into the back of his head and knocked him loose, just like he thrown Mjorn into the back of Thanos' head and knocked him loose.
The Mjolnir is much more powerful a weapon than a fucking shield, dude.
Give me a fucking break. Oh, literally fan service. And then not only that, he has to hold it for a half a second so he can get a fucking applause from the crowd. So this.
Yeah, but you applauded.
I didn't applaud. The people around me certainly did, and they were screaming and shouting.
Dude, you were crying, guaranteed.
Are we talking about the same movie? So she needs help. Basically, she needs help finding where this dude is. She figures out that her old fake mom kind of knows where she's at. She hooks up with her sister, her dad, her mom.
Well, no, because
it doesn't fucking matter how they get together, but they all get together and they have to go hunt down this Ray Stevenson character. I don't even remember what his fucking name is. And
the Red Room guy.
Yeah, Red Room guy. And
I'm pretty sure that's his actual name.
He has a henchman, of course, called Taskmaster, which is this unkillable robot that can track exactly what you're doing and, can copy what you're doing because it's got a fucking a computer program that fucking runs its
brain.
Right, exactly. And so they find out that he's on a flying machine. That's where the Red Room actually is, and that's why they can't track him.
The thing that they made a huge deal over leading up to this movie is who Taskmaster was. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of articles that were talking about who Taskmaster was.
Yeah, Anthony Task. Awesome character.
And there was a lot of speculation and who did they cast and is it Hawkeye? There's just a ton of stuff. And then in the movie, it was just like, okay,
Antonio.
Yeah,
because get it? Because his name is Anthony in the comics, so it's like Antonio or some shit. Exactly. Some woman version. Because it turns out it's nobody. It's his daughter.
It's the guy's daughter.
Who gives a fuck?
That's just another. That's another one of those like dumbass red herrings where like everybody's talking about and then it's like, dude, just if you didn't make any fucking assumptions, just watch the fucking movie.
Right. Yeah. Like, do you want to talk? Is it okay? Oh, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Yeah. So yeah, and then of course she wins. She destroys the Red Room machine, and so like a few things that like really cracked me up about this. Like nobody who created this movie has ever actually seen a grenade in real life or like how they work in real life. That scene where she straps all the fucking chemical to the grenade, throws it in the room, and it explodes and it just showers on the people.
She's like, aren't grenades like supposed to be killy?
Yes.
Like if you threw a grenade into a room and it exploded over everybody's head, wouldn't the shrapnel get rid of it?
Even if it was like a flashbang grenade or some shit like that, like it would still send like shit into those people's faces right there besides the powder.
I think that what she actually threw was a balloon.
Yes. And then it popped?
And then it popped. Yes.
I could see that, like a water balloon.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Like, heads up, people!
Yeah.
And like, you know.
Yeah, because you're right. That scene, she threw a live grenade and it exploded over everybody's head. And I was just like, so they're all dead now. Yeah. And they're like, no, they just breathed in the gas.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so like leading up to that scene too, like the whole... So, okay, let's just talk about how we felt about this film, right? Because we're not going to go through these fucking scenes. You saw the movie, we saw the movie. This isn't our normal podcast. This is just a review cast. So, what did you think of Black Widow overall?
I thought it was good, man. I didn't think it was...
I just want to make sure you said good?
Yeah, I thought it was good. So, like, it's not like I walked away going, damn, another entry into the annals of history, you know? Like, I didn't walk away thinking that it was even top-tier Marvel. I don't expect top-tier Marvel ever. Even going into a movie that is, like, a big deal, I don't expect top-tier Marvel because I feel like with most movies, top-tier movies are few and far between. They're kind of flukes. You know, like, they're a confluence of a lot of forces. It's not just a good director, but it's a good team. It's a good vision. It's a good script, you know. There's so much that has to go right for a movie to be like a top tier movie. And so I never expect that. If I get that, I'm super happy. But really what I'm expecting is another fun Marvel movie, kind of like these shows that are coming out. I don't expect Loki to be the coolest thing I've ever seen. I expect it to be a good, fun show. And so when I went into this, I was just like, okay, I just hope it's not dog shit. That's the only thing that I was hoping for. I hope they don't like really shit the bed with this in a way that makes it like, so I'm like, ugh, finally the first fucking Marvel thing that I don't like, right? And I didn't get that. I got, very mid-tier Marvel, which if you know anything about how much I've enjoyed the cinematic universe, I really have enjoyed. It had, to me, a fun story. It had some heart. Some of that heart felt a little contrived. But okay, like they're fleshing out this one specific character story. I don't need other characters in this one character story, especially for how, in quotes, self-contained it was supposed to be. But the characters were fine. I had an issue with some of the shaky cam fighting. The director or whoever the DP was it reminded me too much of like early Jason Bourne, where it was just like hard to make out what was happening, and like I do,
and not in a good. In a good way, because like the like pinnacle of doing shaking cam, and now why everyone does it because Saving Private Ryan.
Sure, yeah.
They did that, but it was literally supposed to like it wasn't supposed to be an action scene. It was supposed to like display the terror of like storming Normandy, and like the only scenes that have shaky cam are like the terrifying, like the scenes that aren't supposed to make you like enjoy the action.
I want to see what's happening. Yes, exactly. I want to understand what's happening, especially when it's hyper choreographed fights like what Black Widow has in her, like as far as her like action draw. It's the fact that she is like this very acrobatic fighter. And so if I can't even fucking tell what's happening, you're going to lose me in some of those scenes. And I was really especially excited about the Taskmaster fights because Taskmaster as a character is supposed to be like, oh, this guy's going to go toe to toe with anybody. Okay, cool. Let me see that in a clear way. You know, don't obscure it so much with the shaky cam. So that was a thing that I didn't enjoy as much, but I liked all of the characters that I didn't know. So like I liked her fake mom and her fake dad. They were cool characters. The fake mom less so. Yeah. I think that was mostly just because they didn't give her enough screen time.
And not as like compelling an actress.
Yeah,
either.
yeah. What's her name? I know her last name is Vice, but like I forgot her first name. But that character wasn't as anything. It was a good like heartfelt cornerstone. It was an emotional cornerstone. But it wasn't a good character, a good realized character. The fake dad, he was fun, good actor, fun character. Again, the heartstrings were a little contrived, but fine. You know, like I wasn't against that. I liked her sister. I feel like she was a good addition to, because what she's going to end up being is just a young replacement for her. Because I don't think Black Widow's character is going to be in any of the movies.
No, I don't think so either. But I think...
And because of the end credit scene, clearly we're going to see more of this character.
Yeah, but I think it's not going to be as her. It's going to be like the Black Widow of the Dark Avengers.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine. Right. I'm fine with that. Because, yeah, they're doing all the Dark Avengers stuff.
Because you got, what's his name?
Yeah.
U.S. Agent. I forgot his actual name.
U.S. Agent's in this now. Yeah, for sure. And
so you're just going to have to basically...
Valentina's in this now.
Yeah, so. I could easily see them like doing like a Sentry-esque character that's going to be the replacement for Thor or for Hulk. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know if you introduce Ares or not, maybe in the next Thor movie. That'd be kind of cool, but maybe not.
They might even do Ross, too, as
well, that's the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
You mean as the Red Hulk?
As the Red Hulk is what I assumed. Yeah, for sure. But like,
you could easily, you know what? You could easily change that character too to be the Red Hulk because they're playing because there was a Hawkeye-esque character. There was definitely like a U.S. agent in the Dark Avengers, but there wasn't a Black Widow character in the Dark Avengers. So they're just going to do the MCU version of the Dark Avengers, right?
And like I liked her character. I liked how I just liked how she was written. She was sarcastic and kind of just downplayed in a way that I appreciated. She was a good foil for like the big bombastic shit that was happening around her. The big event at the end was a little eye-rolly, you know. As soon as the engine started exploding and everything started exploding and falling, blah, blah. The one thing that I can appreciate, I'll give them a big thumbs up for that, is not making me watch them falling out of the sky for any amount longer than they did. When they were suddenly on the ground, I was just like, okay, good, we're done with the falling out of the sky thing, because I was really worried that was just going to be a lot longer. And yeah, man, otherwise, you know, not a lot of complaints. Taskmaster was a little bit of a letdown because they had hyped me up on it. But again, this is mostly just saying, stop hyping me up on red herrings, you know? Stop doing that. I don't need it. I'm not here for it. Just show me what you're going to show me. There's no need to hype me up except for if you want to let me down. And so stop doing that. You know, you won't let me down if you don't give me any expectations. Right. Stop giving me the expectations. I'm going to enjoy it regardless. And that's it, man. It was a little bit of like a weird kind of thing.
So what would you say, like number-wise, like 7 out of 10, 8, 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10?
Yeah, I'd say as far as movies go, 10 being Marvel movies go, 10 being the top of Marvel movies.
Yeah, say like 10 is like Ragnarok or Black Panther.
Yeah, the shit that I really enjoy.
Yeah, the top end.
I would give this like a 6. Yeah. You know, like as far as Marvel movies go, probably average, if not a little below average.
Yeah.
But it was a Marvel movie. It was like Ant-Man level fun. I went, I enjoyed myself. This was a good time.
Yeah, you know, when I first got out of this film, I actually liked it quite a lot. I was like, yeah, man, that was up my alley.
Yeah, because it was like toned down Marvel, which is generally the space that you like to live in.
Right, but then it wasn't really. Like that was so like when I analyzed it more, I was like, you weren't toned down enough to be a toned down movie, and you weren't explosive high end enough to be one of the big Thor
Guardians
sort of
type
movies.
shit,
Right,
yeah.
exactly like that. So it's like this weird in-between spot, which is really bad for Black Widow,
For
I
Black
think, in the
Widow
long run.
specifically,
Right.
it
It should be even lower tier. Like, it should be even under Captain America level of fucking, height. So, like... especially like the whole like exploding and like I thought like when I first watched it, I was like, okay, this fighting in the sky stuff is kind of cool. It doesn't go on too long, like you pointed out. But then I was like, but it's not like I know this is like silly of me, but if you're gonna have like a lower scale force, like you can't have dudes like landing on the ground from like airborne heights and like not using like
there was a lot of Black Widow should have died for that.
Yes, or like broken her legs. Seriously, like
easily. Yeah,
you like.
Because I feel like they really, really fundamentally forget that she is not a powered person.
And like
she's not a super soldier.
As a person who's just done air assault stuff, like you like rappel wrong and land wrong, you break your knees. Like, and that's like from like a helicopter height, not like
if you fall wrong 10 feet, you're gonna break your knees.
Yes, this is true. So it was definitely something that I didn't hate by any means. Although Taskmaster almost makes me. I'm so glad I was gonna borrow you this like 6 months ago or so because it was supposed to come out around the first movie, but then everything was delayed. They came out with a Taskmaster like 5-issue Marvel comic book thing, and I bought all of them.
Yeah.
And I was gonna borrow them to you, and I'm glad I didn't because they were like I didn't know that much about Taskmaster, so I read this and I was like, this is a cool fucking character. He's very cool. And like he wasn't in the movie, so like that was definitely disappointing.
You know what it reminded me of, and you're gonna laugh maybe. It reminded me of the X-Men Wolverine, the Origins.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that Deadpool.
Sure, I get you. Yeah,
where like
I can see that.
Where like it's just like this silent robotic killer that everyone's just like, oh, and then it turns out to be nothing at all. This total letdown of a victory.
And so here's the funny thing about Taskmaster. I didn't expect it to be anybody important. Like at one point, I figured it was just going to be a robot, and and then I was
I
like,
thought
no,
it was going to be Hawkeye going into it. And that's what was going to
see.
But I also didn't know when this setting was supposed to take place. I thought it was going to be way earlier.
Yeah, it's funny. My old lady, as she watched the last scene, she was like, "Oh, so she died in this movie?" And I'm like,
what?
"No, like you forget because she forgets things sometimes." I'm like, "You forget she actually died in Endgame." So this was. I know it's weird, but this first part of the movie was taking place before Infinity War.
If
and
this would have come out
taking...
relatively around the time that this was supposed to be happening, as far as the continuity goes, that would have made it better.
Yeah,
I think.
I wonder if they even filmed this scene that early though, because like. I don't think you introduce Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this. Like, it feels much better that they introduced her in Falcon Winter Soldier, and now she's just a bit part in it. I don't know how this was filmed, but you know what is the most disappointing thing about this movie to me is that this was the start to the fourth phase rather than Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man being the cap on the third phase, this movie should have been the cap on the third phase, and Spider-Man should have been the first movie in the fourth phase. Whatever. That's
apart from the
post-credit scene.
Dreyfus scene. That's the only Phase 4 setup moment.
Agreed.
So okay, here's what my mentality is. Fine, you did what you did. This next movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, better be solidly Phase 4. Like it better.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be.
It better be 2 feet inside Phase 4.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be the case. But like I wouldn't even doubt if they'd like deal with some of the shit that like Falcon Winter Soldier dealt with the people returning and shit like that. Like I could easily see that. But
Abomination's going to be this.
The thing though, I will say is like the reason I had no expectations of Taskmaster is because the TV shows have taught me stop having expectations.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I don't want to I want to talk about like just for a second Loki, right? Like because we're a day away from the last episode of Loki coming out.
Yeah, it comes out tomorrow.
And who do you think? Just a spitball. Who do you think is going to be the Wizard of Oz character?
I don't know. I don't care.
I do.
I don't even want to think about it.
Let me tell you who I think it's going to be.
It's going to be Mephisto.
Loki.
Oh, yeah.
It's just going to be another Loki that's at the end of this rainbow.
At the end of the TVA.
Yes.
You know what, dude? That is that is more clever for you than I would have ever given you credit for.
Yeah.
I 100% now, in my heart of hearts, believe They're going to walk in, and it's just Loki.
Yeah, it's just another Loki. That's going to be there. That's like...
It's going to be the first Loki.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Some kind of thing like that. Or could even be the old man Loki, that he didn't really die from that thing. You know,
who gives a shit?
It's going to be some version of Loki. I'm willing to put money on it.
It's Loki, for sure. Yeah.
Like, it's so... Like, when we talk about it's almost
Loki,
obvious.
Right, exactly. Like
when
it's almost obvious.
Right, exactly. And only because of the other TV shows and everything else that have been setting us up for, like, don't... Stop, like, overthinking this shit, man. Like, it's just going to be...
Although if it's Mephisto, I will clap.
Clap?
Yeah, I'll clap. I'll stand up and I'll start clapping. It took 3 shows to get us there, dude. I'd be so happy. I'd have a tear in my eye.
Yeah, and he's like, I controlled all of this, you know.
But Agatha, it's not like a lot of the... Yeah, it's Mephisto and Agatha. Oh, my God, dude.
Mephisto all along. And they have like a singing...
I would start dancing around the room. No, the idea that it's going to be Kang the Conqueror, that's your red herring.
Yep.
And then you're going to go into it and it's Loki. For sure.
Yeah. So, I hate to disappoint people, but that's my
your prediction.
You can call me wrong if I'm wrong tomorrow, obviously, but I think I'm not going to be wrong. So, like, I don't bet money on a lot of things unless I'm sure of the bet, and I'd be willing to bet money on this thing. So, overall, I agree. Like, you know what's funny is my number is pretty much dead on with yours, 6 out of 10. I figured that this is, I'd have to like go back and like re-rank them, but I'd probably put this at like 12th or 13th. You know, like, it's definitely not as bad as some Marvel movies, in my opinion. Sure. I'm a little bit more harsh on some of the movies than you are. It's definitely not as good as many of the Marvel movies, though. So,
like, your 6 out of 10 is a little bit different than my 6 out of 10 because your spectrum goes
from 2 to 10. Yes.
Well, no, my spectrum goes from 2 to 10, but my 2 I feel like is something that I like more than your 2.
Yeah.
You like actively talk shit about the 2s. Yes. I'm just like, 2 for me, as far as regular action movies, is like 7.
2 for me, like anything below, like 3 and below, like I'd rather they not made.
Yeah,
like that's kind of how I feel about it.
Like for me, the lowest that it goes is Hulk, the first Hulk movie.
Oh, that's a 1. So I go all the way down to 1.
Sure, yeah. Because, then whatever, that one is a 1 too.
Yeah.
Because my 1 is just the worst Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But my 1 is still better than fucking Wonder Woman or Shazam.
What a fucking clown show take that was. Like, literally, like, you guys should have seen his face.
He, like, literally for a moment was speechless.
Yeah. I had to pause for a second because I was like, this bait just caught me, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to fall for it completely, but I'm half hooked. So... All right, guys, so that was our coverage of Black Widow. I hope you all enjoyed it. You know, we're going to be right down the pot with you with the Loki wrap-up because we got those last 2 episodes to talk about. We were fools before because we had talked about it being
we misspoke. Yeah, for sure.
So I want to apologize for that.
I'm blaming it on Jason.
You should blame it on me. I'm the one who usually does the research on stuff, and I read somewhere that it was 8. I did, and so I just went with that. It was actually 6, so we should have done 3 and 3. I apologize to everybody out there, but we will be covering the last 2 episodes, and we'll probably, we'll make it fun anyway. So.
Yeah. Expect that next week. That should be out already.
So it's going to be coming out, and then for our regular cast, we have 13 Assassins coming for you next week.
That's
baby.
What it is. Again, if you guys want to support us, you can like this video if you're listening to it on YouTube. Leave us a review anywhere. It turns out those are really important for the algorithm.
Do you guys have, I don't know if you're in your neighborhood, you might have trash pickup by Waste Management. Go to their website, and they have like a comment section where you can send them a comment. Comment on their website about what you think about our podcast, and then maybe someone at Waste Management will start listening.
No, please don't do that. And also, if you guys want to support us directly, please visit patreon.com/Minorities Report, and then you can help us there. Make this thing a little bigger. Have an awesome week, guys. We'll see you next week for 13 Assassins.